My girlfriend posted, "I'm not anyone's property." And that was it. No explanation, just a period at the end. Right before announcing a work trip with her supervisor. I responded, "Great, I'm not your landlord either." Then I canceled the lease renewal and scheduled movers. By the time she got back, the keys, a note, and the lease termination papers were waiting for her. Now, I'm sitting in my half-empty apartment, beer in hand, typing this out. I'm 28, male, and I've been with Tessa, 26, for almost 3 years, living together for 18 months. Quick backstory. The apartment's mine. I signed the lease before we even met, and I've been here for 4 years. When she moved in, we agreed she'd handle groceries and utilities while I'd cover rent. I never added her to the lease because, honestly, it didn't seem necessary. Everything was fine until last week. So, it was Wednesday morning, and I was scrolling through social media while drinking coffee when I saw Tessa's post. Some people think being in a relationship means ownership. Newsflash. I'm not anyone's property. Period. A woman can have male friends, male colleagues, and yes, even travel for work without needing permission. If you can't handle that, maybe you're the problem. Struck me as odd. We hadn't even argued. I had literally made her breakfast just that morning. Her friends were all commenting things like, "Yes, queen," and "Tell them." About 20 minutes later, she walked into the kitchen, all casual, and said, "Oh, Beto, I have a work conference this weekend. I'm flying out Friday morning." Cool. Where to? Miami. It's a marketing summit. Nice. Who else from your team is going? That's when she got defensive. Why does that matter? See, this is exactly what I mean. I shouldn't have to report every little detail. I'm just asking. We usually talk about trips. Caleb and I are presenting our campaign. It's strictly professional. Caleb, her 35-year-old divorce supervisor, who texts her at 10 p.m. about urgent projects. The same Caleb who commented fire emojis on her beach photos last month. That Caleb. Just you and Caleb? Oh my God. Yes. The company's only sending 2 people. Stop being controlling. Then, she grabbed her coffee and walked out for work. No kiss, no goodbye, nothing. Here's the thing. I'm not an idiot. The defensive tone, the cryptic social media post, the sudden work trip with just her attractive supervisor. Yeah, I'm picking up on the signs. But I'm also not the type to make a scene. I don't do the whole screaming match thing. I went online to my property management portal. The lease renewal was due in 3 weeks, so I clicked Declined Renewal. Checked the box that says, Tenant will vacate. Done. Then I called around to moving companies. Found one with availability for Saturday afternoon, when she'd be in Miami. Booked a 3-hour slot. Thursday night, she was packing. I couldn't help but notice the lingerie she was tossing into her suitcase for a marketing conference. Right. Need a ride to the airport? Tessa, Caleb's picking me up. It's on his way. Of course he is. Friday morning, she left. She gave me a peck on the cheek like we were just roommates. I waved from the window as Caleb's BMW drove off. Then I got to work. First, I packed up all her things. Everything. Took photos of every box, labeled them, and stacked them in the living room. I texted my buddy, who was looking for a place. Room opens up in 3 weeks. Interested? He was. Saturday, the movers came. They loaded everything into a storage unit I'd rented under her name. I used her info from the mail. Paid for 1 month. I left the key, storage unit details, and the lease non-renewal notice on the kitchen counter with a note. Since you're not anyone's property and I'm not your landlord, figured we should make things official. Storage unit info attached. Paid through the 30th. Best of luck. I changed the locks. It's legal in my state, as long as you give proper notice. Totally within my rights, since she was never on the lease. Just a guest who overstayed. Saturday night, she texted me a picture from a Miami restaurant. It was her and Caleb raising cocktails. Conference dinner. I replied, looks fun. Haven't heard anything since. Her flight lands in 2 hours. I'm curious how long it'll take before she realizes her key doesn't work. Update. The plane landed 45 minutes ago, according to the airline tracker. Her phone's on silent, but I can see the missed calls starting to pile up. Let's see how this plays out. Update 1. Holy hell. It's been 3 hours since Tessa's plane landed. Buckle up, this one's a doozy. At 6:47 p.m. First call. Ignored. 5 more calls followed. 3 texts. My key isn't working. Adrian, where are you? What the hell? At 7:15 p.m. She started banging on the door. I had the TV up loud. Tessa. Adrian, I know you're in there. Open up. I opened the door, but kept the chain on. Hey, how was Miami? My key doesn't work. What did you do? Changed the locks. Checked the kitchen counter. Left you some important documents. Are you insane? Let me in. I live here. Actually, you don't. You're not on the lease. Never were. Her face went from angry to shocked to furious in about 2 seconds. You can't just kick me out. I have rights. You have 30 days notice, which I gave you. It's all in the paperwork on the counter. Your stuff is in storage. The details are with the papers. This is about Caleb, isn't it? You're such a child. It was a work trip. Me cool. How'd the presentation go? What? The big campaign presentation. That was supposed to be the whole point of her trip. It went fine, she said, like she was trying to make it sound casual. Don't dodge the question. We're not doing that right now, I told her. I already did, I replied. Your stuff's in a storage unit. First month's rent is already covered. And right then, Caleb strolls down the hallway, still rocking his Miami getup. Linen shirt, designer jeans, the whole vacation chic look. Guy couldn't even drop her off and bounce, he just had to hang around. Caleb, what's going on here? I asked. Hey Caleb, how was the conference? I added before he could come up with an excuse. He raised his hands like he wanted no part of it. Listen, man, this is between you two. Nah, you're here now. Might as well talk. So, besides your own, which presentation was your favorite? He glanced at Tessa. Honestly, I think we should go. I'm not going anywhere, she shot back. This is my home, my apartment. No, I told her. You were a guest, and now you're trespassing. She actually tried to shove past me to get inside. I just closed the door right in her face. That's when she lost it, screaming about how she was calling the cops. I yelled through the door. Go ahead. About 20 minutes later, 2 officers showed up. I handed them the lease, my name only. I gave them the non-renewal notice I'd dated 3 days earlier, plus bank statements proving I'd been paying all the rent, and texts showing she knew she wasn't on the lease. One of the officers turned to Tessa. Ma'am, if your name's not on the lease and you've been given proper notice, this is a civil issue. You can't force your way in. That's when the tears came. She went into full performance mode, sobbing and telling them I was abusive, controlling, that I'd isolated her. But the cops weren't buying it, especially not with Caleb standing there holding her suitcase from Miami. Ma'am, the second officer asked, do you have somewhere to stay tonight? She squirmed. I mean, I have a couch. Even the cops were trying not to laugh. They told her she had to leave. She grabbed her suitcase and latched onto Caleb's arm, glaring at me like she was trying to burn a hole in my skull. This isn't over, she hissed. Storage unit closes at 9. Info's on the counter. 2 hours later, my phone lit up like Times Square. Her mom, her sister, her friends, all reading off the same script. How could you? She made a mistake. You're heartless. She needs her things. My personal favorite came from her best friend Brielle. She went on a work trip and you threw her out. You're trash. I just replied, ask her about the presentation. Silence after that. By midnight, I get a text from Tessa's sister saying she's staying with them, not Caleb. Interesting. She also called me a monster for doing this without warning. So I screenshotted her own social media post about not being property and sent it back. Then I blocked her. Tomorrow, my buddy Logan's coming to check out the now empty room. I've already got 3 more people lined up if he's not interested. Oh, and earlier today Marina tried logging into my Netflix. Passwords changed. Disney Plus too. The fact she thought she could party with her boss and still stream movies on my accounts? Peak entitlement. Update 2. 5 days since the lockout drama. I figured things would cool down by now. I was dead wrong. Monday morning, my manager calls me into his office. HR apparently got a complaint about me being hostile and making violent threats. I'm sitting there like, what are you talking about? Turns out someone called in, claiming to be a concerned neighbor, saying I threatened my ex with a weapon during a domestic dispute. Good thing I had the doorbell camera footage saved. Her pounding on my door, the cops calmly talking to us. 0 weapons, 0 threats. My manager watched it, shook his head, and said he was pissed someone wasted his time with such obvious lies. But that was just the appetizer. Tuesday, I come home to a note taped to my door from building management. Multiple residents have complained about loud disturbances late at night. Thing is, I've been passing out by 10 every night. And my immediate neighbors? Out of town. I know because I'm watering Miss Patel's plants and feeding Gus's cat. Wednesday was when she went full scorched earth. I'm at the grocery store when my phone starts blowing up. Marina had just posted on social media. When you realize the man you loved is a complete sociopath who throws you out for going to a work conference. 3 years together and he changes the locks while you're gone. Now I'm homeless because some men can't handle successful women. And just to twist the knife, she added, by the way, he's already moved his side piece in. Attached was a photo of my apartment building, unit number in plain view. The comments section? Pure chaos. People threatening to come to my place, calling me every name in the book. Someone even said they knew where I worked and would take care of it. But here's the thing, I may not be big on social media, but I keep receipts. So I made my first post in almost 2 years. Fun little work of fiction. Here's the actual timeline. Wednesday, she posts about not being anyone's property. Friday, she leaves for a work trip with her boss. Saturday, she's at a Miami restaurant with him. Sunday, she comes back with him, not alone. Bonus. She's never been on the lease, never paid rent. Stay tuned for the security footage. The post took off in our friend group. Caleb's ex-wife even chimed in. Ivy, this is exactly why we got divorced, girl. Run. Within hours, Marina deleted her post. But she wasn't finished. Thursday morning, I see a locksmith van outside. I watch from my window as she tries convincing them she's locked out of her apartment. Shows them some old mail with her name and my address. I stepped outside. Hey guys, I'm the legal tenant here. She doesn't live here. The locksmith looked lost. I pulled out my lease and ID. He turned to Tessa. Ma'am, I can't help you unless you can prove you live here. I lived here for 18 months, she shouted. Okay, but are you on the lease? He asked. That's when she stormed off, but not before dragging her keys down the entire driver's side of my car. Security camera caught every second. Yesterday, we ended up in court. She'd filed for an emergency hearing claiming I'd illegally evicted her. She brought Caleb along for moral support. I walked in with my lease, rent records, the written notice I'd given her, footage of her keying my car, screenshots of her social posts, and the police report from Sunday. The judge barely made it past the first page of evidence before looking up. Miss Tessa, he asked, were you ever on the lease? Tessa, no. Judge, all right, did you get proper written notice? And did you ever pay rent directly to the landlord? Tessa, no, but we had an understanding. Judge, then at best you were a month-to-month tenant, and proper notice was given. Case dismissed. He glanced back at the paperwork. Oh, and Miss Marina, I see evidence of property damage here. The plaintiff would be within his rights to press charges. Her face went pale instantly. Caleb suddenly remembered he had somewhere else to be. When we stepped outside, her mom was waiting in the parking lot, already at a full Karen level. Mom, you ruined my daughter's life over petty jealousy. Me, your daughter did that all by herself. I just stopped paying for the lifestyle. Mom, she loved you. Me, she loved my apartment. Big difference. Mom, what about her things? Me, storage unit information's been provided. She's got 23 days left on the month I already paid for. Mom, you expect her to pay for storage? Me, I expect her to act like an adult. Radical concept, right? And then the grand entrance. Marina stepped out from behind a nearby car where she'd apparently been hiding. Tessa, Adrian, please, can we talk? Me, sure. You start. How was the presentation? Tessa, what? Me, the campaign presentation in Miami. You know, the whole reason for the trip? Tessa, there wasn't one. Me, okay, so we're just saying it out loud now? Tessa, I knew. Your company's Instagram showed the conference was in Atlanta. I checked before you left. Her expression right then. I wish I could have framed it and hung it on my wall. Me, and how do you suppose I saw Caleb's email about the Miami resort? Dated 3 weeks before you left? Really fancy place, by the way. Tessa, so, you were spying on me? Me, you left your laptop open on my kitchen table. But sure, I'm the villain here. Cue the tears again. She said it was a mistake. Caleb meant nothing. She just needed to feel free for a weekend. I laughed. Out loud. Me? You're free now. Have fun with it. I got in my car, made sure the side facing her was the one with the fresh key scratch, and drove off. Later that night, a text came from an unknown number. Caleb, hey man, just wanted to say sorry. I didn't know she told you it was for work. That wasn't cool. I didn't bother replying. Instead, I forwarded it to Marina with the message, guess you're free from him too. After that, she called me 27 times. I didn't answer a single one. Logan's moving in next week. First month and security deposit already paid. Guy's way cleaner than Marina ever was. And yes, I filed a police report for the vandalism. Have fun explaining that to your insurance company, Tessa. Final update. A month later, here's where we stand. People keep asking if she actually got charged for keying my car. Yep. $1,200 restitution plus fines. Her mom called, begging me to drop it because it could cost Marina her job. I reminded her, actions have consequences. And apparently, her marketing firm didn't appreciate either the vandalism charge or the fact she lied about the conference. Which brings us to her job situation. Remember how I checked my company's Instagram? Turns out one of Tessa's coworkers, Clara, has followed me since some random party years ago. She DM'd me after seeing my post. Clara, OMG, is this about Tessa? She's been telling everyone she went to Miami for work, but we all knew it was BS. The company only sent Ethan and Sophia to Atlanta. Caleb took PTO. Corporate is not happy. I didn't lift a finger after that. Didn't need to. Gossip moves fast in marketing circles. Caleb got demoted, not fired, but no longer her boss. Different department. And Tessa? When your entire team knows you lied about a work trip to hook up with your supervisor, and then you get arrested for vandalism. Well, her LinkedIn now says, seeking new opportunities. But my favorite part came from the storage unit saga. Remember how I paid for the first month? She never went to get her stuff. Not once. The facility called me. I was still listed as the emergency contact to say the unit was headed for auction over non-payment. I sent them her info and washed my hands of it. 2 weeks ago, her sister messaged me, furious. Apparently, Marina kept saying she'd pick it up tomorrow until it was too late. Everything, her designer clothes, her vinyl collection, even her grandmother's china. Gone. Sister, how could you let this happen? Me. She had 30 days. I paid for the storage and gave her all the info. What else was I supposed to do? Sister, you could have reminded her. Me. She's 26, not 6. From what I hear, she's been couch surfing. A week here, a week there, wearing out her welcome fast. One friend kicked her out for bringing Caleb over at 2 a.m. Another for eating their food without replacing it. And here's the cherry on top. She tried getting back with Caleb once they were both unemployed. He ghosted her. His ex-wife, who I now follow on social media because she's a riot, posted. When the mistress finally becomes available, but suddenly she's not mysterious anymore. 2 weeks ago, Marina tried one last time with me. She showed up at my building, but security wouldn't let her in. I'd taken her off the AUT list months ago. She called from the lobby. Tessa, Adrian, please. I'm struggling. Can we talk? Me, we're talking now. In person. Go ahead. Tessa, I know I messed up, but, me. But what? You need a place to stay? That's not my problem. You told the world you're not anyone's property. I respected that. I'm not your property either. Or your landlord. Or your backup plan. I loved you. You loved the lifestyle. If you'd loved me, you wouldn't have been in Miami with Caleb. She went silent. Tessa, can you at least help me get an apartment? My credit's trashed. I hung up, blocked the number. Logan's been an awesome roommate. Pays on time, cleans up, doesn't sneak in supervisors for overnight visits. We even started a D&D campaign with friends. Living my best nerd life. The epilogue? I ran into Caleb at a coffee shop last week. Guy looked like life had hit him with a truck. His ex-wife took him back to court for higher alimony. Apparently, if you can afford Miami getaways with your mistress, you can afford to pay more. She won. He tried making small talk. I just grabbed my coffee and walked away, but not before tossing out, "Hey, how'd that presentation go?" The look on his face was worth every ounce of drama. These days, Marina posts vague inspirational quotes about surviving narcissistic abuse and rising from the ashes. Last I heard, she's back living with her parents in another state. If this whole saga taught me anything, it's this: when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Never put anyone on your lease unless you're married. Always keep the security footage. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. Anyway, thanks for following this bizarre journey. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a raid to prep for in an apartment that's 100% drama-free. Peace out.